Hello, happy Tuesday. My name is Julie. I'm a wedding and brand photographer based in Austin, Texas. It is Tuesday, 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, and I can see my crazy hair going on here. And I'm live. It's What's Brewing Behind the Scenes, where I talk about what's going on in my business. I talk about the weather as I'm making my cup of coffee for the day. If anybody does not know me or does not follow me or lives under a rock, I'm obsessed with coffee. I basically grew up in a home, my mom is Italian, and I remember very, very young playing with coffee, adding lots of milk with like a dash of coffee. I'm like, Mom, what were you thinking giving coffee to a child? I gave chocolate, which has caffeine in it, to my son when he was like 3 or something. Anyways, and he was off the walls for like an hour. So yes, long story short, as you can tell, I can talk as well. So today I wanted to talk about something a little bit interesting. I wanted to talk about perfectionism. If you guys received my newsletter this morning, if you haven't, go to my website, juliewilhite.com, scroll to the bottom, and sign up for my newsletters. Today I talked about perfectionism. I was actually laughing as I was thinking about what to write about for my newsletter this week. And I was trying to come up with a story for everyday life, and I kept walking past my large laundry baskets full of week-old laundry. And if I'm being real, by the time they were actually folded, it was probably closer to like a week and a half that they sat there. I'm not proud to say this. Does anybody else struggle with large piles of laundry that never get folded? I mean, literally by the time that I actually folded them, I had to go back and start washing again. So if you ask me again, are there new piles of laundry now that I folded the old piles of laundry? You would be correct. Laundry. I literally just need someone to like outsource my laundry to. I shouldn't say that because the amazing woman who cleans my home does fold my laundry when she comes, but we don't have her all the time. But when she's here and she folds my laundry, I'm ever so grateful because, it's just this beast. And it's one of those things of, I can tell myself I'm a bad person because I have these things that I let go. I live and work out of my home, and it's easy to look around the fact that I may have some dishes in my sink right now. We're just like, I'm getting naked right here, guys. My house is not perfect all the time, and I choose to let that go sometimes with my perfectionism in order to get things done in my business, right? Creating those priorities and actually sticking with them. So anyways, we're going to talk more about perfectionism and how I'm trying to overcome it. And I'm going to preface this all with the fact that I am a work in progress, guys. But it is something that I am paying attention to and being intentional with. So if any of you are perfectionists, please raise a hand, throw me some hearts, make me feel better about myself. I have been dreaming of this cup of coffee since I finished my morning cup of coffee. I've been up since, I didn't wake up that early this morning, 6 a.m. So, which is really early. But yesterday morning I was up at 4:30. So 6 a.m. feels like a retreat, right? Am I right? So I finished my coffee way too early before I even took the kids to school. And I was ready for my second cup pretty soon after that. So I was holding out for you guys, and now we're here. So something really exciting. Dun, 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 dun. This oak, so Califia Farms is, they make like nut milks and different things. I use their almond milk all the time for my sons, and there's like a coconut almond milk blend if you can have coconut. And this is actually an oat milk creamer, right? It says just oat milk, but really it's more of an oat milk creamer. And it is delicious. So I learned about it at Manana. You guys know I'm obsessed with Manana coffee in Austin. And ever since I got a cup of coffee there, I've always been like, what are your alternative milks? And they said oat milk, so I used their oat milk, this oat milk, and honey, which I'm using as well right now. And I've been obsessed with their coffee, and I'm like, their coffee's just so good. Yes, it's so expensive, but it's worth every penny. And so then I was at the store the other day, and I saw this, and decided to get it. Guys, I think part of the reason why I loved the coffee so much was the oat milk. So I'm very excited to use this for my everyday life and to now enjoy my coffee with it right now. It is so good. It's so good. All right, I'm wearing shorts. I don't really wear shorts. I've got like legs everywhere. I got legs. So yes, I'm now enjoying my coffee with oat milk and honey, and it's amazing. So how is everyone doing today? How is life? So we're in July. It is very hot in Austin. I've been very lucky though to have couples that last weekend I actually had a ceremony that was outside. So it was at Brazos Hall, which is a beautiful venue downtown, and they had their ceremony upstairs. They have big ass fans up there. There's some air movement, there's just air movement that happens up there. So I would say it was not as bad as I thought it would be. I mean, it was definitely warm. It's July, but they did a good job of, making sure that everyone was well hydrated and those kinds of things. And we did the portraits outside, and everyone was just really, it's hard to, do portraits outside and to be outside on a wedding day in July or August of, down south and in Texas. But everyone was really kind. Everyone was really efficient. My goal always is if we're going to be outside and doing portraits, we are going to maximize the time. We're going to be quick, like lightning to really just maximize the time and get back into the cool air as quickly as possible. So everyone was really, listened really well and was able to be very efficient. So it was great. Hi, Tom. How are you today? Are you drinking coffee? So perfectionism. I love about this because I think as a child I wasn't always a perfectionist. So has anyone else done the Enneagram here? So the Enneagram test, I need to link it. Maybe I'll do my link in my bio to be able to do the Enneagram test as well, because it's fascinating. And when I did it, I was shocked to learn that I was Enneagram 1, which is the perfectionist, with a wing of, which I don't know if people call a wing, but 9, which is like the exact opposite of a 1. So I definitely want to say a 9 is much more of kind of go with the flow, happy-go-lucky, doesn't want to rock the boat, just wants to have fun, like very laid back. And a 1 is like, a perfectionist, wants everything to be perfect, which is just really interesting to see the two combined in me. Oh, hey, garbage truck. But it makes sense because I think that I've always had definitely both of those within who I am. I can be very laid back about certain things, like the cleanliness of my desk sometimes. There's definitely like piles of paper going on, and my husband's like, how can you work in that? How is your brain functioning within that? And then I can be a perfectionist about things like when I do a blog post and the layout of pictures, like I'm very particular about how they're laid out, what pictures go together, the colors, like how they complement, like all of those things. I can just like, my perfectionism is just like, So, and please guys, remember, send me hearts if you're also a perfectionist, so I don't feel so lonely sitting here talking about I'm just naked right now. Thank you. But yeah, I think as I've gotten older, I've definitely grown into more the perfectionist side of myself. And it was really interesting. I was listening to a podcast. I've been really into Rachel Hollis's Rise podcast lately. She's had some really good episodes. And thank you. And one of them recently was it was like how to be brave or playing it brave. You guys should go back in. It's like a couple episodes back. But it was just fascinating. And the woman she was speaking to, which I was gonna go find her name, but you'll see it on her podcast list. But she talked about how women, and as women get older, we tend to lean into perfectionism. And it can sometimes cripple us, right? Because we don't want to do anything unless it's perfect. We also talked about how women won't apply for a job unless they are 100% a fit for the description, whereas men statistically will apply for a job if they're only 50% a match for what the profile calls for. And that just shows that yeah, we're perfectionists, and we can lean into that and sometimes cripple and keep ourselves back if we're just always waiting to do something until it's absolutely perfect, because it's never going to be perfect, right? It's always going to be able to be approved upon. I feel like sometimes I read my emails 10 times, and then you find an error in there later, and you're like, what? That's so stupid. Like, why did I have that error? And it's like, oh, because I'm a human being and I have a lot going on. And the world is not going to end if I have an error in my email body. Oh my gosh. If you guys have not heard me talk about my coffee, if you were not on here earlier, I have a new obsession. I know it's backwards, but this oat milk by Califia creamer, it's so good. Oat milk, honey, it's like the best thing that's ever happened to my coffee life. I'm obsessed. So yeah, just really thinking, and I've just been, again, 2019 is my year of intention, right? And being really aware and paying attention to some of the things that I think are holding me back, and just creating goals for myself, and then how can I move myself forward. And I think part of that process of figuring out goals and then moving yourself forward, you notice that there's certain things that happen within there that like keep you from, succeeding at some of these goals. And yeah, I've really had to reevaluate and ask. I was literally just thinking about how I was hanging out with some friends yesterday, some amazing friends that I really look up to in our industry. And we were just chatting about different things, and they were like, Julie, you're doing so many new things. This is awesome. Sorry, I have a fly right here too. We just really applaud you for what you're doing. And number one, it's almost really hard for me to like accept that, praise of myself. And in my mind, I thought about it later, and I actually like giggled was my first response, because first of all, I'm so appreciative of, any positive feedback, and, being able to talk with people that I look up to in the industry. And then also thinking about the fact that I constantly tell myself that I'm not doing enough, that I could be doing more. Like, why haven't I checked that off my list yet? And that is such the perfectionist in me that not only wants things to be perfect, but then also sometimes sets unrealistic expectations for myself. And then I can let myself down when those don't come to fruition. So one of my big things, I know you guys have heard me, is I've been talking a lot about how to be more productive, and how can I set my, my intention and set my goals, and how can I actually make sure that I'm being productive and using the most of my time. I know, I love that. I'm exhausted just thinking about it now too. Me too, right? We can just work ourselves up in that little tizzy, and just, it can never be enough sometimes. Or sometimes it's so hard to even just stop and say, for me to say to myself, Julie, you are doing a good job. Look at where you were, 6 months ago. Look at where you were a year ago, and really let that, what you've been able to accomplish in that time frame, like let that sit on your chest. Be grateful to yourself for the things that you have been able to accomplish. And if you've moved forward at all, then you're doing freaking good. Do you know what I'm saying? And sometimes we don't ever give ourselves that moment or that time of appreciation and being grateful for what we have done, and then move forward with that. And I'm a huge fan of treating myself. So I know this sounds funny. I've been in business for 11 years now, and just recently someone said to me, well, when you finish that, how are you going to treat yourself? And I was like, treat myself? I'm going to be like, girl, get to the next item on the list. But really, I love that thought. I should be treating myself. Absolutely. And those goals, those 1, 3, 5 years with a plan and milestones. I love that. And it's so true of just having that visualization and that vision for what those goals are and what those goals feel like. I talked about this last week too. Like, one of the things that's been very powerful for me has been not only having goals, but having that vision and that emotion attached to the goal that I can grab onto. I feel like when I think about what the mission of that goal is so that I can feel this, or that I can provide this for my family. And every time that I'm feeling like, broken down by those goals, or just, beaten down or overwhelmed or whatever it may be, I can really reach for those visualizations of what I want my life to be, who I'm doing it for, and along with doing it for myself. And then I'm able to continue to push forward. I know. I love it, Courtney. I love it. I'm the same way, always on to the next thing. I never stop and treat myself with accomplishment. Need to implement that more. It's kind of powerful. The first thing I did was I think I went on that, you guys have heard the business retreats or trips that I do where literally it's just a trip from my life and from my family where I'm able to fully focus on my business for a weekend. And it's incredible because I think as a mom, my mind is always going to be partially working on how are they, what are they doing, where are they now. I'm organizing who's taking care of them. Are they sleeping soundly right now? And so those kinds of things are always in my mind, even if they're napping at that moment. So I went on the business retreat and it was like, number one, I thought the trip itself was a treat, but the fact that I coordinated a trip for myself, for my business, to be able to push things forward. I mean, that was a big deal. I asked for help from people. And so I treated myself by buying myself a new Yeti cup, which I'm terrible at drinking water, so I have to buy myself new water cups every once in a while in order to encourage myself to drink water. It's like such a first world problem. I have to buy myself cups to try and bribe myself into drinking water. But that's what I gave myself as a treat. And I was like, gosh, this is so powerful when there's certain things that you want to do and you may have resistance to those things. Give yourself a treat. After I spoke at the Up Factor, which was a big deal for me, I'd never spoken in front of that many people and kind of really worked to create a message that I was proud of and all these different things. I treated myself to a day where I went and took myself to the movies and I didn't work that day. And it could sound small, but it felt so decadent and it was just so great. And it makes you want to do more, right? Get to the next goal and then celebrate it. Do it every 6 months for reevaluating for our goals. I agree. So I did talk about in the newsletter a couple weeks ago, talked about a mid-year check-in. And I know that we're July, but you still have time to do that mid-year check-in of, we have a whole half of a year left. And so what do we want to do with that half of the year? It's just as powerful at the beginning of the year. And I would almost argue more because I feel like for myself, I'm just now getting to the meat of some of those goals that I set in January. And now I'm able to really start to push them forward and maybe out into the universe if my perfectionism does not get the best of me. So yeah, perfectionism. I've really been working hard to set intentions with my time, to create that MIT for my day, my most important task, and to make sure that that gets done. And if things like dishes or if things like laundry are not done at the perfect time that my visualization of a perfect wife or a perfect mother would do them in, then I'm just working hard to let it go. Like, it just doesn't matter. Those kinds of things, if we tried to be, I work so hard sometimes, or I think I did, and I'm hoping to try and break more of that. But to really, I don't need to be the perfect mother, the perfect housewife, the perfect wife, the perfect business owner all the time, just choosing the things that are the priorities for yourself, doing other things like good but not perfect, like it's okay. Jenna Kutcher says all the time that, good is better than perfect, and getting it out into the world is a million times better than sitting on it and waiting till it's perfect, because it's just never going to be perfect. It's part of the process of doing things and putting things out into the world. It's almost like, too, my perfectionism will rear its head, that resistance will rear its head when it's something that I really want to be perfect, or I really want everyone to love, and I really want it to make a difference in people's lives. And the more I care about it, the more resistance I feel for that. So yes, girl, just be you. So important. So, and just being me doesn't need to be the perfect me. You know, that definition of myself is not determined, or my worth is not determined by how quickly I fold my laundry, thank goodness. Or, you know, if I make perfect lunch boxes every day where they have multiple colored and perfect vegetables to be eaten by my children every day. These are the things that keep me up at night, you guys. But yeah, I'm working really hard to just prioritize what's important and to let some other stuff go and to treat myself, right? Do you guys ever treat yourself? What are things that we could do to treat ourselves? It's so much more fun to talk about. I love to do things like take myself to the movies. I bought my water bottle. I bought an educational course one time. There was a course that I purchased that I wanted I wanted to make sure that I actually finished, because that is definitely a struggle when you buy an online course. You're so excited about it and you start it, and then everyday life gets in the way. If you haven't scheduled at that time in your calendar, actually fulfill it. So treating yourself is a great way to push that needle forward and to get yourself to actually accomplish it. So yeah, it's a work in progress, right? Thank you, Courtney. I know, I was talking to Courtney earlier and she's like, are you an Enneagram 9 with a wing 1? It's so funny because yes, they're like exact opposites, but they kind of complement each other. And do you feel like you're becoming more of a 1 as an older person? I'm definitely becoming more of a 1. But I think, you know, the interesting thing about perfectionists is that we choose the pockets that we're perfectionists at. My parents are definitely both perfectionists in their own ways and for certain things that they feel, you know, are important to them. So, yeah, I think it's good to have high standards until it starts to cripple us. Am I right? I'm right. So right. Anyways, I hope you guys are having a good day. I hope you guys get this oat creamer because I'm obsessed with it. And please share any other things that you put in your coffee that I need to be working on. I should have put MCT oil in my coffee today. I need a little extra kick. But anyways, love chatting with you. Hope everyone has a beautiful day. And yeah, I will talk with you next week, 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you guys are not on my newsletter yet, head over to my website, scroll to the bottom, sign up, and yeah, you can get more tips and tricks on how to do this thing called life, how to have a wedding photography business, and how to kick ass and take names. Am I right? I'm right. Have a good day, guys.